Good morning, everybody. I'm going to get started here in the interest of time. My name is Katie Carter. I'm the Emergency Response Specialist, meteorologist for the National Weather Service in Wakefield, and here for your state weather briefing. Thanks for joining us. I'm starting to see that number tick up a little bit as we have a few folks joining here at the last minute. It's going to be pretty short and sweet this week because, knock on wood, things are looking pretty good on the weather front, which we are very thankful for, because if you remember from just a year ago, things were pretty crazy in January and February of 2025. So hopefully, at least weather-wise in 2026, we are looking a little bit nicer on that front. But before I get into the nitty-gritty, I did want to start off with just a little fun fact to maybe get you a little bit out of the winter doldrums. This fact made me happy this morning, so I wanted to share it with you. Over the next 21 days, we gain 30 minutes of daylight. Today we have 9 hours and 41 minutes. By January 26th, we'll have 10 hours and 11 minutes. And if you go from 1 month from now, from January 5th to February 5th, we gain 50 minutes of daylight. So that is definitely good news. But now getting into the week ahead weather-wise, pretty benign pattern here. Little to no precipitation chances until later this week. We're talking about Friday, Saturday time frame for our next rainmaker, and it does look warm enough to be a rainmaker, so that's good news for most of us. And then because of the dry conditions that we have had over the last week, really of course longer than that, but the last week specifically, and then heading into this dry week, we are expecting drought conditions to expand and worsen. And then we also have a warming trend that is anticipated, really kicking off, kind of starting tomorrow, easing things in, lasting through the weekend. So we're going to be flirting with some record-breaking warmth on come Saturday. I don't know that we'll quite make it, but we will certainly be within a few degrees of that come Saturday. So here's the general weather pattern that we have for the week ahead. High pressure, which just means pretty dry skies and sunshine for the most part for a good part of the week. Now, we do have the chance of seeing a few light sprinkles, maybe a few hundredths of an inch in the western part of the state, as you see this system in sort of the western Great Lakes bringing rain and some wintry mix, especially to Wisconsin and Michigan, but that could be bringing the western part of the state a few little sprinkles tomorrow, but a few hundredths of an inch at best. Really, we're looking at just a fair amount of sunshine, a little bit of cloud cover, and mostly dry conditions. And the temperatures are going to start rising, as I mentioned, beginning tomorrow. Today's pretty seasonable, where we should be seeing highs this time of early February. And then especially as we get into the later part of the week, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, it's just going to be downright warm for January. And then our next approaching system that's bringing us our next rainmaker, that's looking to arrive Friday and Saturday. And as I mentioned, signs are definitely pointing to it all being a rainfall event just due to the pattern that we have set up. So accumulated rainfall forecast, as I mentioned, maybe a few brief little showers far west of Roanoke for tomorrow, but the rest of the state is going to be seeing dry conditions through Thursday morning. And then sort of the second half of our week, Thursday through Monday morning, that is the second part that we're looking at to be maybe I wouldn't say a decent rainmaker, but certainly west of Roanoke, they could be seeing anywhere from a quarter of an inch up to a half an inch of rainfall, which is desperately needed. So that is good news on that front. As we talk about temperatures, you can see that today, as I mentioned, pretty seasonable. We have an average high in the Richmond area of about 48 degrees. So some of us going to be warmer than that in the 50s. But then Tuesday through Thursday, we are pretty solidly in the 50s to near 60 degree mark. And then Friday and Saturday are pretty warm. We'll see upper 60s, a few low 70s. So it's definitely going to be much warmer than normal. Saturday in particular, if we do get into near 70 degrees, then the city of Richmond's record for Friday is 73, Saturday is 75. So those 2 days, we will be within a few degrees, so definitely warm. Overnight lows also going to be in the 40s for those days, so we can maybe get a break from at least the super cranking of the heat that we have had. Probability of precipitation quite low, as I mentioned, for most of the work week until we get into Friday and Saturday with that time frame of our next potential rainfall, which I mentioned is desperately needed. Looking at our drought monitor here, this looks like it's an outdated graphic, but I promise you it's not. For those who are used to looking at this graphic, it is updated every single Thursday. So this was updated and released in 2025. We'll get the newest version that incorporates the dry conditions that we saw last week in this Thursday's update. Now, all of that being said, the cutoff for data is on Tuesdays. So we will see go through this Tuesday, which of course lack of appreciable rainfall, and then we'll see the update on Thursday. We are already going to be seeing an expansion of the D1 moderate drought, which is that tan color there. I can tell you we're already talking and collaborating about that expansion, and we'll have to see if any of the areas that are white that are not considered in drought will get into the D0, but that remains to be seen with this update. Looking into next week, 6 to 10 day temperature outlook. So January 10th through the 14th, you can see that we are expected to stay in that above normal temperature trend. And then in terms of precipitation, kind of in that near normal. So hopefully that means that we aren't going to continue the drought status, but we will get at least a normal amount of rainfall or precipitation, because precipitation, of course, in January can be rain or of the wintry variety, but that is near normal for that 6 to 10 day outlook. Beyond that, not too much going on in terms of space weather either. So we have no concerns on that front, which is also good news. And that's all I have for you. So thanks for joining us. Of course, if there are additional updates for the rainfall expected later this week, we will make sure that you get that in your inbox. Otherwise, Happy New Year and have a great day. Going to go through the recording again, and my sincere apologies. Oh, good. Juanita, thank you for letting me know that you can hear now. So my apologies. 2026 technology apparently not working in my favor. I promise it'll be brief. I'm sure you saw the slides going across your screen. I did briefly want to start with just a note on the positive side of things. I saw this come up this morning, this fact, and I just wanted to share because I thought it was pretty neat. So over the next 21 days, we will be gaining 30 minutes of daylight. And if we go through the next month from today, January 5th through February 5th, we will be gaining 50 minutes of daylight, which is exciting to me. So hopefully you find that is just as exciting as I do. But relatively benign weather pattern, very little to no precipitation chances until we get to later this week. We're looking at that Friday to Saturday time frame. And just as a result of last week's drought conditions, of course, it's been going on for a while, but that's already been accounted for in our U.S. drought monitor. And most of the dry week that we have ahead, we are expecting the expansion and also the deepening of the drought conditions that we have been experiencing. And a warming trend is anticipated. So getting to look at the weather pattern over the next few days, high pressure in control, which means that we just have a fair amount of sunshine, a few clouds out there, but really limiting the precipitation. Now, I know that you see on Tuesday, there's a big weather system in the Great Lakes. Now, the western part of the state could be skirting by and seeing a little bit of cloud cover tomorrow with maybe a few sprinkles, but a few hundredths of an inch at best is really what we're looking at for the western part of the state tomorrow. The rest of us, Roanoke and East, going to be seeing dry conditions 100%. Wednesday, warmer yet. We'll see our temperature trend in just a moment, but still staying dry. Same for Thursday. And then really quite warm for Friday and Saturday. In fact, we're going to be flirting with record temperatures on both Friday and Saturday. I don't think that we'll quite get there, but we'll only be within a few degrees of hitting some records. And that's when our next chance for rain arrives, and I will emphasize rain, we are not looking at the potential for a wintry mix or anything like that. The setup is just far too warm to support any sort of wintry mix for this next precipitation chance on Friday and Saturday. So that's good news. But the first half of the week, as I mentioned, maybe a few hundredths of an inch tomorrow for the western part of the state. We're talking far southwest Virginia, west of Roanoke, really not even looking at measurable rainfall. And then that second half, when we're looking at that time frame of Friday to Saturday, especially areas from Roanoke and west, they'll see anywhere from 1/4 of an inch up to 1/2 an inch of rainfall, with less amounts, especially along and east of I-95. But those of us who do see a good measurable amount of rainfall, we really desperately need it across the state. Taking a snapshot of our temperatures, you could see that we are going to rise pretty substantially between today and the next few days. Today is pretty normal, on target for what we should be seeing. 48 degrees is the average high for January 5th in the city of Richmond. So we're either that or even a little bit warmer for a good chunk of the state. And then we warm up the next few days. I see a few yellows, meaning a few 70-degree temperatures going to be in the area for Friday, and then maybe a few Saturday as well. And then we do drop back off to about normal or even cooler than that for Sunday and Monday. So we don't turn the corner and all of a sudden it's going to be spring. We know it's still January. So the last hurrah is really Saturday before a cool down Sunday and Monday. Overnight lows also going to be pretty mild too. We'll see 40s and a few low 50s for Friday and Saturday. So, maybe that heating bill going to getting a break for at least a few days for our overnight hours too. Probability precipitation really low for the next few days until we get into Friday, Saturday, which we've already mentioned. And all of these slides you can revisit at any time. Getting back to the drought monitor here, this looks like it's an old graphic. I promise you it's not. It's just updated once a week, every Thursday. So it will be updated again this Thursday. Now, typically I do not include it in the Monday briefings because it's kind of old data at that point. I only usually do it on Thursdays, but because the weather is pretty benign this week, I wanted to reiterate that really the top story is just a lack of appreciable rainfall that we have seen over the last week and most of this week ahead too. So what you see here is going to expand. So the area of drought is going to expand and also possibly deepen. We are already beginning our collaboration here with the different offices and the different entities for the updating of the drought monitor. And we've already had that discussion that we expect the D1 or moderate drought to expand. So be on the lookout for that with the Thursday update. But we really need that Friday and Saturday rainfall. So hopefully we can keep the forecast or even get a little bit more rain to spread further east, which is where we need it the most. 6 to 10-day temperature outlook looks to stay above average in terms of the warmth that we will be seeing. So even with that drop off Sunday into Monday, it looks like we will be staying warmer than normal for that January 10th to the 14th period, and then about average in terms of precipitation. And precipitation can be rain or any sort of winter weather because it is still January, but the Friday and Saturday system does, just reiterating, look to be 100% rainfall due to just how warm it is going to be. So again, my apologies. That's my briefing for today. Thanks for sticking around, those of you that did. I had a lot drop off, of course, because they couldn't hear me. But if you're still here, thank you. If you have any questions, please let me know. You'll get another email briefing on Thursday. Other than that, have a great week and Happy New Year.